You are grinning so hard, your face should hurt. Rainwater runs down your cheeks and mixes with blood, yours and his. And somewhere inside the cracked walls of Tokyo Colony Number 2, a train door slams open that doesn't exist. The jackpot hits again. Your cursed energy surges back to full before pain can even finish introducing itself. Your body remembers death and rejects it. Across from you, Hajime Kashimo finally understands what kind of man he's fighting. Not the strongest, not the smartest, not even the most refined. Just the worst possible kind to put down. The one who gets hotter the longer the night goes on. The one who treats survival like rhythm. The one smiling like this is exactly what being alive was supposed to feel like. You spit blood, roll your shoulders, and step back in. This is where the story ends. The question is how it started. Level 1. Smoke and noise. You were never built for polite rooms. Jujutsu High had rules, lineage, expectations, faces that looked at cursed technique like scholarship and tradition and duty. You looked at it and felt something else entirely. Heat, momentum, a pulse in the chest that told you sorcery wasn't sacred unless it moved people. That's why they hated your fight club. Underground matches, cursed energy, money changing hands, crowds screaming because, for 1 second, in their miserable lives, they could feel the edge of something real. You understood that. More than lectures. More than old men talking about preserving order while kids got sent out to die with clean uniforms and no say in it. You got suspended for clashing with authority. But that wasn't really the reason. The real reason was simpler. You made the machine look stupid. Then there was Kirara, one of the only people who didn't need you translated. With Kirara, the world made sense in a way it usually didn't. You built your own place together outside the system. People called you irresponsible, a gambler, a delinquent. Maybe, but underneath all that noise was one clean truth. You trusted fever more than structure. If something didn't have pulse, you couldn't fake reverence for it. And that was going to matter when a boy with a death sentence came looking for your help. Because for the first time in a while, someone was about to offer you a bet worth taking. Level 2. The reading of heat. When Yuji Itadori shows up, you don't test his logic, you test his temperature. He comes to your place with Fushiguro's name and a mission bigger than he is, and you can feel right away that he isn't built like the others. Not because he's polished, because he isn't. He's desperate, earnest, awkward in the way only people can be when they're carrying too much and trying not to let it show. You beat him first, not out of cruelty, out of principle. If somebody wants to pull you back into the game, they'd better survive contact. They'd better have enough hunger to look stupid doing it. Yuji does. He keeps getting up, keeps speaking from the chest instead of the script. You respect that before you admit it. Then Panda comes in, and the whole thing becomes harder to ignore. Dojo has been sealed, the balance is gone. The old order, rotten as it was, is panicking. You could stay out, keep your club, keep your freedom, keep the one corner of the world where your life is still yours. But there are moments when even men like you can hear history knocking. So you say yes, not because you're reformed, not because you suddenly believe in institutions. You say yes because the table is finally interesting again. The stakes are big enough. The blood is real enough. And deep down, despite everything, you still want to stand where the fever is highest. You step back toward Jujutsu Society, the same way you enter a fight, smiling, loose, already prepared to lose something. You just don't know how much. Level 3. Private Rules. The Culling Game strips away every lie people use to make violence feel noble. Inside the colonies, there are only players, points, bargains, corpses, and whatever personal code a person can still afford to keep. You don't come in preaching justice. You come in reading momentum. Every colony has its own weather. Every fighter has their own tell. Some men posture. Some calculate. Some kill because the system gave them permission to become what they were already becoming. You make your own alliances carefully. Charles Bernard is one of those strange collisions this world produces, a frustrated manga artist with a cursed technique that lets him see ahead. He thinks your confidence is fake. He thinks your swagger is a costume stitched together to hide emptiness. So, you fight him. And in that fight, the thing about you becomes impossible to miss. You're not fearless. You're committed. There is a difference. Charles sees flashes of your future and still can't stop you because your cursed technique isn't just power. It's appetite, idle death gamble, probability turned theatrical, domain as fever dream, train doors, previews, pseudo-spins, near misses, and then the hit. The jackpot that grants you unlimited cursed energy for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. It's absurd, flashy, embarrassingly specific, and completely you. Because of course your soul would manifest as a machine that turns thrill into immortality. Charles loses, but more importantly, he understands. You aren't playing around. You're dead serious. In the shape of a joke, and that makes you dangerous, in a way solemn people never see coming. Then another presence starts pressing against the edges of the colony. Older, hungrier, electric, and suddenly your luck is being called to answer a man who has waited centuries for someone worth killing. Level 4. Thunder, looking back. Hajime Kashimo doesn't walk into your story like a rival. He arrives like unfinished violence. He has one purpose in this era: find Sukuna. Until then, everyone else is just proof of how bored he's been. He has the eyes of a man who has outlived usefulness and decided destruction will have to do instead. You meet him in Tokyo Colony number 2, and from the first exchange, it is obvious this isn't a fight about points. Kashimo is old-school lethality stripped clean. No flourish, no wasted movement, no interest in spectacle for its own sake. You are spectacle weaponized. His cursed energy trait punishes contact, turning every clash into accumulated death. Yours asks a different question. How long can belief keep a body moving after damage should have ended the conversation? The answer, for a while, is not long enough. He reads your rhythm. He hurts you badly. He forces your domain open again and again, and what looked entertaining against lesser opponents starts feeling desperate under his pressure. Every spin becomes survival. Every second between rolls stretches. But that's the thing about gamblers. The real ones aren't addicted to winning. They're addicted to the moment after risk, when the world has to show its hand. So you keep pressing, not because you're sure, because backing down would mean admitting your whole life has just been noise. Level 5. 4 minutes, 11 seconds. By the time the jackpot starts chaining, your body is less body than decision. Kashimo blasts through flesh and bone like he's trying to prove reincarnation was only worthwhile if it ended in something memorable. You lose chunks of yourself in this fight. Skin opens, blood pours, limbs fail and return to function under the flood of infinite cursed energy. You should look monstrous. Instead, you look alive in the purest way possible. All instinct, all momentum, all refusal. This is where people misunderstand you. They think the smile means none of this matters. But you feel all of it. That's exactly why the smile is there. Not mockery. Gratitude. Kashimo tries to corner you with calculation. You answer with rhythm. He looks for the finish. You look for one more spin, one more opening, one more impossible continuation. The battle moves through water, steel, shattered architecture, and time itself starts feeling mechanical, divided into jackpot windows and the terror of what happens when they close. Then one closes. For a breath, immortality leaves you. And in that breath, death finally gets close enough to whisper, Level 6, the cost of hot blood. You don't survive because you're destined. You survive because your domain reopens in time, and because your brain, your body, your cursed technique, and your will all keep making the same insane choice at once. Again, Kashimo drives cursed energy through your head, aiming for the kind of damage reverse curse technique shouldn't be able to casually erase. He poisons the space around you with certainty. This is what he is better at than almost anyone, making death feel mathematically final. So you cheat math, not with elegance, with commitment. You use the jackpot's automatic reverse curse technique like a man burning the house to stay warm. You dump your own cursed energy through your nose to expel Kashimo's electric curse. You fight half-drowned in the ocean of your own luck. You drag him toward water, toward environment, toward any angle the fight will give you if brute force won't. It isn't noble. It's desperate, dirty, brilliant survival. And beneath all that noise is the part nobody says out loud. Every time you hit that jackpot, every time the machine saves you, it reveals how easily you could have died without it. Your confidence has always been real. So has the abyss underneath it. Kashimo forces you to look straight at both. When you finally outlast him, it doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like your pulse returning from somewhere far away. Kashimo doesn't even die here. He yields the points, makes his deal, keeps moving towards Sukuna and the death he's chosen for himself. And you stand there in the aftermath, breathing hard, understanding something you didn't before. Your smile was never armor. It was a promise you kept making to yourself in the dark. Level 7. The house always burns. By the end of Shibuya's fallout and the Culling Game's turning gears, you haven't become respectable. You haven't become safe. You haven't transformed into the kind of sorcerer the higher-ups would have wanted. And thank God for that. What you become is clearer. You are the man who steps into broken systems without pretending they aren't broken. The man who can ally with idealists without becoming one. The man who knows passion can be foolish, spectacle can be sincere, and recklessness can sometimes be the only honest response to a rotten world. You are still smiling, but now the smile has weight. You know what it costs to keep betting. You know that heat doesn't save everyone. You know fever can get people killed. But you also know the opposite is worse. The cold rooms, the managed deaths, the obedient suffering, the kind of life where nothing is risked, so nothing true is ever felt. that was never going to be you. So when people look at Kinji Hakari and see a cocky gambler, they're not entirely wrong. They just stop too soon. Because what makes you dangerous isn't luck. It isn't even power. It's that somewhere along the way, you made peace with uncertainty so completely that when terror arrives, you don't freeze. You lean in, you grin, you ask the world if that's really all it's got. And sometimes, against every law that should govern men like you, the world blinks first. The question isn't whether you could survive on luck. The question is, how much of your life would you risk just to feel like it was really yours?